Welcome to the Del Walmsley Radio Show. Del challenges the status quo, questions everything, and empowers you to return to your core beliefs to make your life better. If you're ready to hear the truth and get your roadmap to the lifestyle you really want, the next hour will change your life. And now, your host, self-made millionaire, national award-winning investor of the year, CEO and founder of Lifestyles Unlimited, Del Walmsley.
Welcome to the Del Walmsley Radio Show, where the hype ends and help begins. I'm your host, Del Walmsley, and as always, we're working on your financial freedom. Today, though, I'm going to start a mini-series. I'm going to get it out over the next couple of weeks or months. Just thought it'd be interesting to talk about those things in life that changed your life forever. Do you remember any of those? Can you envision those places, those events, the things that happened, the people, the stuff that was boom, when it happened, your entire belief system, as Covey calls it, your paradigms come crumbling down. Everything you believe about life gets destroyed right before your eyes. And it happens in an instant. It's not something that, nags at you for a while. It's something that just, boom, it hits you, and it hits you so hard that you know that it was a life changer, just crushed you to the bone. I've had many such experiences in my life, and I was trying to look back and figure out which ones were really the most important in my life. I came up with quite a few that were important. Couldn't really decide which one was the most important, but I think as far as the radio show goes and lifestyles and success as a real estate investor and the success at helping other people be real estate investors, I think the one that probably is most important for the radio show is Black Monday. Black Monday refers to the Monday, October 19, 1987, when the stock markets crashed all around the world. It began in Hong Kong, it spread to Europe, hit the United States, and by the time it got to the United States, the U.S. had already started to crumble. But the Dow Jones that day dropped 508 points, a 22.6% loss. Now, it devastated almost the entire economy. But it was even worse for me. It had a couple ramifications for me that completely changed my life to where I could never go back again. It could never happen. I could never revisit it. I could never let it happen again. I came away with some conclusions in life that I just could not let go of. They were too important. And so I decided that I would go after them and try to fix this entire thing. So today I want to talk about the paradigm I had before this event occurred, the paradigm that I picked up after this event occurred, and I want to talk about the plan. We're given a plan when we're young, and the plan is to go to school, get good grades. I remember going to school and caring about my grades, really extremely caring about my grades, studying and doing the work and trying to get all A's and getting upset if you ever got a B. It was insane how much I really cared. And yet, when I finally decided to drop out of college, no one ever asked to see my grades. My entire life, no matter what jobs I've ever had, no matter where I've worked, they ask you, do you have a college degree? Do you have some college? Do you have high school? That was it. They never wanted to see my transcripts. They never wanted to see that I was an A and B student. Didn't matter. Doesn't matter at all. Everything that I believed about college and about school was wrong. It was completely wrong. And I didn't have that epiphany until after I got out of college. While I was in college, I thought it was important. But somehow one day in college, I just said, you know what? There's nothing important here. I was watching the kids around me not study, not learn, not care, get bad grades. And I realized, hey, 90% of these people are going to get out of this college and have terrible grades, and it's not going to matter one bit. They're still going to grow up to be stockbrokers and financial planners and accountants and attorneys and CPAs and whatever else they are, doctors even, have bad grades. You don't have to be the best in your class to get anywhere in this world. That's a myth. That's a lie. It is a gigantic lie. And I don't know why they perpetuated on young kids, but they did, and I fell for it until I didn't anymore. When I got out of college and I went to work, the secondary part of the dream came to be, which was you work hard, you work long if necessary, you save as much money as you can, 10, 20% of what you earn, and then you work for 40 years of your life, and somehow, magically, after 40 years of working, you have enough money to be able to retire. And that money, you give it to other people. This was part of the belief system that today I almost want to kill myself for even believing this. But I was led to believe that you give other people your money who actually know something about money. What a bad, bad belief system. So you'd give your money to your stockbroker, and he would put you in investments because supposedly he knew stuff. Well, he knew how to lose almost everything I had in the stock market, right? He was supposed to put you in a situation where your money would grow at a way faster rate than just a savings account and yet be safe. And so I started investing with stockbrokers, and they started giving me stock tips. And I would invest here and I'd invest there. And after a while, I started seeing what these guys were doing. It was not that hard to figure out the way they were playing the game. So I started studying the market, quote unquote, which almost every fool believes they've studied gambling. And that's what the stock market is. It's gambling. And I figured out a way to leverage up and make the thing really bounce. So I started buying options and trading options. And buying and trading options is riskier because you're leveraged out and because a stock may go down in value, but it will probably come back. But options expire. So if you get stuck in them, you lose everything or next to everything. And that's what happened to me. I was in options. There were December options that when Black Monday hit, it blew up in my face, and all these options became almost worthless. I think I got pennies on the dollar for them by the time I got out of them. Now, for the life of me, which is interesting about this story, for the life of me, I cannot figure out how much money I lost. I've looked around for places to find out, try to figure it out, but I don't know, and I can't remember. And I think it's like a woman having a baby. The pain is so intense, your brain won't let you go back there. So I think my brain has taken that day, that experience, which was the day before my birthday and which really hit me the day of my birthday, my 31st birthday. It hit me so hard that I think my brain's just locked it up in a little room somewhere. Locked it up and threw away the key so that my brain can't go back and figure out how bad the pain really was. But as I came out of this, I could see that the dream was a lie, that the belief system was wrong. It didn't work. Now, to make it even worse, to exacerbate the problem, I had a boss who told me there was even a better way to do it than just to work for 40 years and save your money. His belief was, and I think he said this to us really to brainwash us into being willing to work 60 to 80 hours a week. He said his plan, his goal, was to work instead of 40 hours a week, to work 80 hours a week. And instead of saving 10% of what he earned, he was going to save almost all of what he earned because, quite honestly, when I was working on this plan, I had no time. I got up in the morning and I worked out. I went to work from 10 in the morning till 10 at night. So I was in the gym in the mornings working out from 8 to 10, worked from 10 to 10 at night, and I did that 6 days a week. I had no life. When I got off Sunday, I barely had enough time to go to the grocery store, do my laundry, and pass out from being so tired. It was a miserable life. But it was a life, a plan, a goal, a dream that this guy put to me. He said, look, work for just 20 years, twice as hard, save all your money, and retire by the time you're 40 years old, when you're young enough to still be able to enjoy life at retirement. Boy, that dream sure sounded good, sounded strong, sounded like the right thing to do. So I tried it. I was in it for 12 years. And then Black Monday blew it all up. We'll take a short break. Be right back with the Del Walmsley Radio Show.
You're listening to the Del Walmsley Radio Show. Del will be right back with more life-changing principles in just a few minutes.
Lifestyles Unlimited is the real estate investor education and mentoring group that has been taking people by the hand and teaching them how to invest in real estate for over 25 years. Our students have been so successful at creating wealth and passive income that they've won local, state, and national Investor of the Year awards 10 of the last 10 years. It's easy to see why Think Realty magazine named us the best in the U.S. If you're ready to add real estate to your portfolio, go to lifestylesunlimitedpodcast.com to access our free live training event schedule.
Welcome back. Now here's some more unconventional wisdom to set you free from the man on a mission to retire America, one person at a time, Del Walmsley.
Welcome back to the Del Walmsley Radio Show. Today we're talking about those items in your life that were the aha moments, the epiphanies when the light went on and, you know, something painful happened that just changed everything, the way you saw the world from that point. We've been discussing, in my life, the Black Monday incident, which just changed everything for me. The theory that my boss had given me, that was my belief system, was that I was going to work 80 hours a week instead of 40, and hence make a ton of money, spend almost none of it, because when you're working 80 hours a week, you don't do anything. So you would be able to save a tremendous amount of money, and by age 40, you could retire rich and spend the rest of your life running around the world having a great time at still a young, healthy age that you could really enjoy retirement, as opposed to being an old person at 65, 70, where you can barely do anything. You would be a young and vibrant individual. Now, interestingly enough, since I actually did retire 2.5 years later at about 34 years of age, I did have that opportunity. And it really was important to have that youth, to have that retirement in youth, where you still have the energy and the time to do something with your life and enough money to do it. So that part of the plan was a good idea, but the way of getting there, the working 80 hours a week part, was the part that just didn't make any sense. So you look back at it now. Here I am. I've done it for 12 years now, worked these long hours for 12 years, saved up this money. Now I lost the money. Now I'm saying to myself, I'm not going to work another 12 years just to get back to where I'm at. And this is the beginning of either a massively positive change in your life or a massive negative change. And what I mean by that is, when you get to rock bottom and you look back, okay, I've just spent 12 years to get to where I thought I'd only have 8 years left. Now you're telling me I lost those 12 years, so now it's going to be those 12 to get back to where I'm at, and then another 8. We're now at 20 years. Well, I've already spent 12, so that's 32. So how is that much different than the other plan? But then I realized there's other aspects to this, and that is that I've had no life for 12 years. During my 20s, my youthful life, the only thing that I had in my life at all was work and bodybuilding. Now, I loved bodybuilding, and I enjoyed it. I've got a lot of self-worth out of bodybuilding. But it took time. It took dedication to diet and nutrition, so I couldn't go out eating and drinking with everybody else. And I worked so much that I really didn't have the time nor the energy to go out eating and drinking with everybody else. I think would go out maybe Saturday night, maybe Friday night, but I had to get up Saturday and work anyway. So here it was. I'm questioning all this stuff, but the very first big question is that, hey, I can't keep working 12 hours a day for another 20 years. I've already destroyed 12 of my life's years. I've got to stop. There's got to be a way to stop doing this. And I came across, all kinds of epiphanies. The very epiphany at this point was that life is not a destination. You don't get somewhere and then, boom, you win. Life is a 60-year journey. You're going to do it your whole life. And you've got to be enjoying it as you go. If you don't enjoy it as you go, then you're not ever going to enjoy it, because it's going to be gone. And you can make millions and millions of dollars. You can be successful beyond belief. But you can't buy back even 1 hour of your life. You cannot buy back 1 day, 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, any of it. It's gone. You spent it. You wasted it. Wow. I'd wasted 12 years of my life on a belief system, on a plan that didn't work. Think about how depressed that made me. To believe that everything, to see that everything that I believed in and I'd lived with for 12 years was wrong. Have you ever done that? Have you ever just had an epiphany that, boy, everything I believed in my life has been wrong? It's one of the most painful things you'll ever go through. But I think it's a pain you have to go through before you'll ever get to open your eyes wide enough to see that you're living a lie. Your whole life is a lie. You don't want to admit it to yourself because maybe you haven't realized yet that it is a lie. Maybe you've questioned it before and said, I don't know, but it's all I know, so I'll just stay on the plan. I'll stay on point here. I've got a map. It says that success is out there somewhere. I'll just keep following the map. But somehow you were given the wrong map. The map isn't the correct map. You're going nowhere. Wow. So I decided that I couldn't work 12 hours a week anymore, or 12 hours a day anymore, 6 days a week. And I went back to my boss. I said, look, you got to cut my hours back. He said, no, everybody here works those hours. If I let one person work less hours, then I'd have to let everybody work less hours. And they can't do that. They were paying us on salaries that added up to $2.75 an hour, plus commissions. And I think $2.75 was probably minimum wage at that time, but it was a salary, so it didn't matter how many hours we worked. But by the time, no, it probably wasn't. It was $2.75 because we were paid on salary. But when you put that out to 40 or 60, 80 hours a week, it came out to $2.75, whatever was the average pay I was getting paid per day. So if you look at that situation, I said, I can't do this anymore. And he said, I can't change it because this is an entire company's philosophy. Now, the company's name was Bally Health Clubs, and Bally Health Clubs has since gone out of business. It's very obvious why they went out of business. They have no idea what they're doing. The entire company was run by ex-pro football players that had no idea how to run a business. None. And what they would do is they would hire these pro football players, which were dumb as a rock, and tell them that this is the way it's got to be. And football players are used to being told, don't think, just do. Get it done, do it our way. And then they paid him a lot of money. And I remember this guy having his plan, and he'd come to work, and he had this big, giant house in the expensive part of town. He had a Rolls Royce, and he had a Mercedes, and he dressed, to the nines. And yet he knew nothing about running the business. He just parroted whatever the company models were to parrot. Anything that had to be figured out by the people underneath him. We had to figure out how to do it because he couldn't do it. He had no idea how to do it. And yet I took my dream from this guy, from this failed pro football player. By the way, he only played 1 year and then he failed out of football, who had failed his way to success in this business because he was dumb enough to work the 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, that he wanted me to do. And because he did that long enough, everybody else quit, and he was the only guy left. So they promoted him. And now here I am listening to this guy. I ask you folks, where do you get your dream from? Where are you getting your dream from? Are you getting it from a loser? Is passing it down to another loser called you? Or have you gone out and looked for a winner? And when we come back, I'll tell you the story about the winner that I ran into and what it meant to me and how it changed my life. We'll take a short break. We'll be right back with the Del Walmsley Radio Show.
You're listening to the Del Walmsley Radio Show. Del will be right back with more life-changing principles in just a few minutes.
Get total freedom in your life, safely and quickly. Build wealth and passive income so you never worry about working until you drop, losing your job, or retiring in poverty. Over 25 years ago, Del Walmsley founded Lifestyles Unlimited. Del has taught over 100,000 people just like me and you the principles of financial freedom through his national radio shows and personal one-on-one mentoring at Lifestyles Unlimited. I'm excited to tell you about the real estate workshop that has changed so many lives. This workshop takes you inside what we do and what we believe. We'll share with you the 5 ways we make money in real estate and much more. Just like your personal trainer, the Lifestyles Unlimited team will motivate, encourage, and teach you so you can get in the best financial shape of your life. Call 866-971-8970 or go to lifestylesunlimitedpodcast.com. That's lifestylesunlimitedpodcast.com to register for the workshop that will change your life. That's lifestylesunlimitedpodcast.com.
Welcome back. Now here's some more unconventional wisdom to set you free from the man on a mission to retire America, one person at a time, Del Walmsley.
Welcome back to Del Walmsley Radio Show. Today we're talking about that moment in your life that changed everything. The moment I'm sharing with you is the one I had on Black Monday when I lost most of my life savings all in one day. And the stories and the ramifications that came after that, one of which was most important, was that I realized that I could no longer work 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. I didn't have it in me. The plan to succeed, to get rich quick, and then retire at an early age, the dream didn't change. That's something that's important to understand. The dream didn't change. I still wanted to retire young and be rich. But the plan was what I could see was wrong. And so I went to my boss and I told him, I couldn't work those long hours. And he said, no, I can't let you not do that. Everybody does that. And so I left. And I went and applied for a job with a guy that owned a bunch of health clubs down in Jacksonville, Florida. He lived up in Dallas. And this guy was a little power lifter and a little short guy with massive muscles. And he was super, super, super religious. I mean, he didn't curse or swear or smoke or drink, anything. And he said he'd had a hard time because he owned these health clubs way down in Jacksonville, Florida, and he was up here in Dallas. He just couldn't really run them correctly, and he wasn't getting the results he wanted. So he was looking for somebody to go down there and be the city supervisor and run the whole thing. And, I showed him my resume and told him what I'd done at Bally's and how I'd increased their profits, very, very large margins on the property, on the clubs that I ran, how we set up things to make it way more profitable. And he goes, okay, well, I'll hire you. So I went back, I told my supervisor, I said, look, I'm going to go down here. And the guy goes, what do you mean you're going there? Why didn't the guy want somebody like me? If he's going to pay somebody to run a whole city, why didn't he come find a guy like me? Why did he find you? You really believe that you're just going to walk into there, never been a city supervisor before, and be a city supervisor? It doesn't make any sense. And I said, well, that's your belief system. I believe in myself more than that. So I went down there, took a couple of my friends with me to take over the clubs. And in no time at all, we had increased the sales by 3 times. Not 30%, 300%. And what had happened was that he had a bunch of girls running these clubs, young ladies, that really didn't care. And what happened is that 3 of the girls that were running the clubs lived together in his condo. He had his own personal condo. They all lived there, and they were all cokeheads. Now, when he'd come into town, he would stay at that condo with these girls. And you let your mind go wherever you want. I came to the conclusion that there was something going on there because of this. Even though I increased his business 300%, he called me and said, you know what? I got to let you go. I go, what do you mean you don't let me go? I've increased your business 300%. He goes, yeah, but you fired all my girls. This is my family. My employees are my family. And I'm thinking, yeah, I don't think your wife knows that. It's funny because even when he'd go back home, one of these girls would go out shopping for his wife and shop for his kids. So he had stuff to take back like he'd been thinking about him. But it was one of these girls. So right then and there, I realized, wow, this world is not as straightforward as I think it is, that a lot of this stuff out here in business is really nasty. And that the only way I was ever going to be successful in business was to own my own business. There was no way I could actually work for someone else because it was either a family business where you could never get by the family people or it was a corporation where you couldn't get by the corporate politics, et cetera, et cetera. So I realized for the first time now, I had to own my own business if I was ever going to be successful. No longer could I be an employee of somebody and consider possibly getting rich and retiring early. That was a massive epiphany. So I came back to Houston, and when I was sitting in the gym working out one day, my old boss came up to me and said, "Hey, I heard you were out of town." I said, "Yeah." I said, "I came back, didn't work out." And he goes, "Well, why don't you come back to work for us?" I said, "I told you, I can't work those hours." So he proposed an option for me. He said, "Look, I can't let you work less than 12 hours. It's the way our system's. You open at 10 in the morning, you close at 10 at night." He said, "But here's what I will do. We can't seem to find anybody who can run the gyms on the weekends. It's just, we can't keep anybody." And he said, "I'll let you work 4 days a week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and you run the clubs those 4 days a week. So you can set up all the business for the weekend on Thursday and Friday. You just make sure that those days are set up so when you're running it Saturday and Sunday, you rock the boat, rock the world." So I came in on Thursday and Friday, and all I did was I took all the sales that every other sales manager, every other salesman missed, called them back and said, "Hey, why don't you come in on Saturday and Sunday and see me? I'm a professional bodybuilder, not professional, but I'm a competitive bodybuilder. I know a lot about this stuff. I think that I could probably help you. Come on in and see me. I'd really like to take care of you and show you what we can do for you." And so I got a lot of business, and what happened was I started selling more business in 4 days than their sales managers were selling in 6. I outperformed every sales manager there was. And they promoted me to supervisor. They said, "Man, you got to teach everybody how to do what you're doing." They wanted me to be a supervisor. All of a sudden, I'm running 2 clubs, 4 clubs, 6 clubs. And there I am. I'm doing what should have been done in the first place, but they couldn't do it because they were locked into this messed up paradigm. And what was interesting was I was able to produce more in 4 days than they were able to produce in 6. And that's when I came across the epiphany that time is not productivity. If you can get your job done in 4 hours a day, then do the 4 hours and get the heck out of the office. My employees at Lifestyles, they work no more than 40 hours a week or we kick them out. The mentors are only allowed to clock 20 hours a week. If we need more hours, I hire more mentors. You can't be wealthy and successful and working all those hours. They don't go together. It would be disingenuous if my mentors work more than 20 hours. It would mean to you that there is no such thing as they retired and are rich. It would be a job, but it's not a job. It's a mission. It's a mission to help people and to give back. And yet, you have to make sure that people don't get too involved in the mission. Forget that the mission is just part of a life. It's part of a major plan. It's part of the whole picture. And you have to plan it that way. And so I learned the most important thing in the world, and that was how to keep staff. I've had people that work for me for 20 years. I have many people who work for 10 or 15 years. And it's because you don't burn people out. This was a massive epiphany that came to me during this period in my life. And so there it was. I decided I had to go find my own business and that I was going to treat the business and the people in it much differently. I remember when we hit our quota in sales, they would change our quota, make it harder, or they would cut our territory in half. Or they'd give the good territory to a weak salesman so he could hit his quota and put us in tough territory so that we could bring it up. I said, none of that. I'm going to go build a business for myself that I own that no one can take away from me. And when I had my first rent house and I got that first check in the mail, and I knew that check was for me, it changed my entire life and the way I saw it. Whereas before, working in the health clubs, I would collect $100,000 a week in collections for these clubs, turn it into them, and I'd get a check for $4,000, $3,000, $4,000 a month. Bringing them millions and millions of dollars a year, I made like 70 grand a year. Now, if I make those millions and millions and millions a year, it goes to me. And when I build a business, you can't come in and take away my business or half of my business. It's my business. It belongs to me. And this is a gigantic epiphany that you've got to have. Tie that with this one, put it together, and realize this. I can lose my own money. I can not be successful in my own business just as easily as I could give all of my life away to a company and give all my money away to a financial planner or a stockbroker and let them lose my life and my money for me. I would rather lose my life and my money myself, trying to succeed, trying to hit the home run, than to lose my life and my money to a boss and to a financial planner. These were the epiphanies that really made a difference in my life from that point forward. In fact, I remember the day that I lost all the money, and I said to myself, I wish I would have spent that money. I would have much rather have known that I don't have that life savings anymore because I went out and just spent it. Cars, women, partying, whatever it was, I would have rather have spent the money than have somebody just take it away from me. What a painful thought. People took my life and other people took my money, and I didn't do anything about it. Take a short break. Be right back with the Del Walmsley Radio Show.
You're listening to the Del Walmsley Radio Show. Del will be right back with more life-changing principles in just a few minutes.
What would happen if you didn't show up for work tomorrow? For the next couple of days? For a week? A couple of months? A year? How long until you lose everything you've worked for in a fraction of the time it took to earn it? If this fear keeps you up at night, it's time to learn the strategies we teach at Lifestyles Unlimited. Start with the free workshop. Go to lifestylesunlimitedpodcast.com and find your true financial peace, like so many of our members already have. That's lifestylesunlimitedpodcast.com.
Welcome back. Now here's some more unconventional wisdom to set you free from the man on a mission to retire America, one person at a time, Del Walmsley.
Welcome back to Del Walmsley Radio Show. Today we've been talking about that moment in your life when everything changes, when all the belief systems you have about life are just destroyed right before your eyes. And how do you come out of that destruction? What do you do? How do you get through it? What do you learn from it? And how do you change your life for the better from it? As they say, take lemons, turn it into lemonade type of stuff. I've been covering a bunch of the epiphanies I had during this period when I was going through this pain. But most of the stuff that I've covered so far has been about the negative stuff that I learned. And when you wake up and you find out that you still want to be rich and you still want to retire early, you still have the dream, but the plan doesn't work, you've got to go find another plan. And I realized that I had been picking my mentor from a group of people that had never accomplished the goal. Here this guy was, 50 years of age, still working, right? And he hadn't accomplished what he said he was going to accomplish. He did what he said he was going to do. So it didn't work for him. It didn't work for me. Later, when Bally's went out of business, this guy lost almost everything. I mean, he's downgraded from his house, downgraded from his cars. I don't know what he's living on now. He's doing all kinds of work, different types of things to try to earn some money. But his giant lifestyle has come crumbling down. So you look at this, you go, why was I picking this person for my mentor? And I said to myself, Del, what you've got to do is, if you're going to follow somebody, you've got to find somebody who's already succeeded. Your mentor has got to be somebody who's already gotten to where you want to go. And lo and behold, we had just opened a new health club called the Executive Club, where you had to have an upper grade membership to go to. And it was in the Galleria area. And I happened to be the one in charge of that club. I got to supervise that club because of whatever reason, I guess seniority or whatever at the time. But I remember going in there and seeing this guy come in every day. He would drive up in his Jaguar, get out in his tracksuit. I remember back then, everybody had their tracksuits, the matching pants and jackets, wore their shorts and T-shirts underneath of them. And he'd come in meet with guys, had tons of friends. They'd play racquetball, a couple hours of racquetball. Then they'd go in, maybe lift weights for, 30 minutes. Always having a good time, always laughing, always happy. Then he would go and he would hit the sauna and sauna off really well, and then maybe take a quick dump in the pool to cool down. And one day I just got up the guts and asked him, I said, I see you in here all the time. I just got to ask, what do you do for a living? How do you not have to be at work during a major portion of the day, right in the middle of the day, by the way? It was during the middle of the day. It wasn't like he came in early in the morning, did that and left, or he came in after work and did that and left. He did it right in the middle of the day when nobody was there. That's why he did it during the part of the day, because there was nobody there. He could get whatever he wanted, had the place to himself pretty much. And I asked him, I got up the guts to ask him, he says, well, I don't have a job. I go, what do you mean you don't have a job? How do you support yourself? He says, just sense, man, was he like a Rockefeller and he inherited his money? What? And he goes, no, I own real estate. I said, real estate? Yeah. And he explained to me that he owned businesses, real estate businesses. I think he owned like commercial strip centers, stuff like that. But in real estate, there is no job for you to do. You don't get up every day and go, I got to go do something. There's nothing to do. The check's in the mail. Now, maybe I'm going out to buy more, so I'm looking at some stuff. I'm trying to find my next project. Maybe I'm putting my project together and raising my capital. Maybe I'm closing on the deal and changing out the staff or something. But once that's done, you're done. There's no job to get up and go to. That's what people don't understand. I had over 100 houses that I managed myself. I didn't do anything. I only worked like 4 hours a week. There was nothing to do. And so the time versus money aspect was something that I had to understand. I had to pick up that more time doesn't mean more money. Investing in assets that produce money is how you get more money. And when I saw the map that this guy had, I knew I had to have that map. So I started going to all these seminars all over the place on real estate. If you remember the Midnight Madness seminars, the Something for Nothing Midnight Madness seminars on the infomercials on TV, and they'd get you to come out to the seminar, and they'd give you another, great song and dance, and then they'd sell you some books and tapes. And I have to say that the books and tapes and courses and so forth, there's nothing wrong with them. I mean, some of the stuff is outdated and been resold and retreaded many times. Some of the stuff was basic common sense. But there were some tidbits in there that, for somebody who knew nothing about real estate, it was a way to get started mentally and intellectually. And so I started working at it. One house, then a second house, then a third house, then a fourth house, et cetera, one house at a time. And then I got up to like 11 houses. And I had another epiphany. The epiphany was I was out of money. So I had to go find a partner and pick up a partner who'd put up some of the money. And I found a partner who'd put up the money, and I'd put up the time. He'd take 75% of the profit, I'd take 25%, but I had unlimited pockets now. So I proceeded to go out and buy as much real estate as I wanted. And 2.5 years after I started investing in real estate, 2.5 years, at 34 years of age, I retired. 12 years of working 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. 2.5 years of spending almost no time at all. One produced nothing. The other produced the most incredible lifestyle you'll ever know. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you for listening to the Del Walmsley Radio Show, teaching you the opposite of everything you've been taught so you can obtain the results you've never obtained. Join us 7 days a week. Can't get enough? Visit DelOnTheRadio.com to listen to the Del Walmsley Radio Show, access past show podcasts, and join the conversation.
The information and opinions you hear on the Del Walmsley Radio Show are those of the host, Del Walmsley, his guests, and his callers, and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of this station, its affiliates, its management, or advertisers. The Del Walmsley Show is for entertainment purposes only. Please consult a professional regarding your personal investment needs. Nothing presented on the Del Walmsley Show constitutes an endorsement, recommendation, offer, or solicitation to buy or sell any product or security.